Welcome to another episode of Mastering Cybersecurity, developed by baremetalcyber.com. Let's dive in. A Security Operations Center, SOC, is the team and place where an organization watches its technology environment at all hours, looks for danger, and coordinates fast, careful responses. It brings people, data, and tools together so unusual activity can be noticed before it becomes real damage, and so small incidents do not snowball into major outages. The SOC reduces guesswork by setting clear routines for monitoring, investigation, and communication so decisions are timely and consistent. It works like a newsroom for security, with information flowing in, being verified, and then acted upon in a disciplined way. By the end, the core ideas behind the SOC will feel concrete and practical rather than mysterious, which helps beginners see where all the moving parts fit. The mission of a SOC is continuous monitoring, reliable detection, and disciplined response across systems, networks, and identities. A SOC is different from a Network Operations Center, NOC, which focuses on performance and uptime rather than adversaries and abuse. The SOC also differs from a general service desk, which handles user requests and break-fix tasks rather than threat investigations and containment. In practice, they coordinate closely, since security actions often require system changes, account updates, and user communication. Clear boundaries and handoffs prevent confusion during busy moments, especially when a detection needs immediate action from platform teams while analysts continue investigating. People make a SOC effective, and clear roles keep work flowing without collisions. A Tier 1 analyst handles intake and initial triage, applies enrichment, and filters noise so real issues rise quickly. A Tier 2 investigator forms hypotheses, pivots across data, and decides whether to escalate, contain, or close based on evidence. A Tier 3 specialist hunts for stealthy activity, performs forensics, or builds new detections when gaps appear. A SOC manager coordinates priorities and staffing, while an incident commander leads major events so decisions, communication, and documentation stay synchronized across the organization. Data powers the SOC, and more important than volume is usable variety. Endpoint logs describe processes, file changes, and alerts from protection agents, which reveal activity on laptops and servers. Network data shows connections, destinations, and unusual patterns, which is vital when endpoints cannot be trusted or seen directly. Identity and access logs tie actions to people or service accounts and often explain how an attacker moved, escalated, or failed. Cloud and application logs add context about workloads and business actions, which helps separate normal bursts from suspicious spikes. Normalizing and centralizing these streams in a searchable platform makes investigations faster and repeatable. Several core tools anchor daily work inside the SOC. Security Information and Event Management, SIEM, collect, normalize, and correlate events so patterns stand out and alerts are created. Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response source systems run playbooks that gather context, enrich indicators, and trigger safe actions without waiting on humans. Endpoint Detection and Response, EDR, and Extended Detection and Response, XDR tools observe and contain activity on endpoints and across additional data planes. Intrusion Detection System, IDS, and Intrusion Prevention System, IPS, sensors watch network traffic for signatures and behaviors, while Network Detection and Response, NDR, adds behavioral analytics. Case management and chat war rooms keep evidence, notes, and decisions organized so teams stay aligned during busy investigations. Every alert travels a life cycle that favors clarity and speed. A rule or analytic fires in the SIEM, which creates a case with initial facts, such as source, destination, and detection logic. Triage enriches that case with asset details, identity information, recent changes, and known business context, so signal quality rises and confusion drops. Correlation links related events, while deduplication and suppression reduce noise from repetitive detections during a single incident. Escalation criteria focus on potential impact, confidence, and containment urgency, so higher tiers receive fewer but richer cases they can progress quickly and confidently. Investigation inside a SOC is a disciplined search for the simplest explanation that fits the evidence. Analysts form a short list of hypotheses, then test each by pivoting through endpoint events, network flows, identity logs, and application records. Timelines are built to reconstruct what happened before, during, and after the alert, which often reveals hidden steps or failed attempts. Key artifacts are captured with hashes, timestamps, and sources so others can verify findings and recreate queries when reviewing the case. When evidence may be used for compliance or legal needs, chain of custody is documented, so the record shows who handled which artifact and when. When a real incident is confirmed, coordinated response begins, so damage is limited and business risk falls. Incident response, IR, actions typically start with containment, such as isolating an endpoint, disabling a token, or blocking traffic at a control point. Eradication removes malicious files, rules, and accounts, while recovery restores normal configurations, reissues credentials, and verifies that systems behave as expected. Throughout IR, communication aligns operations teams, legal advisors, privacy specialists, leadership, and sometimes external partners. Good SOC documentation turns tense moments into orderly progress because roles, approvals, and steps are already known and practiced. Playbooks and runbooks in the SOAR reduce repetitive work while reinforcing safe, consistent steps. A playbook might automatically gather process trees, recent logins, and reputation checks, then add that context to the case so the analyst starts with a fuller picture. Another playbook can disable a risky account when multiple strong signals align, while still requiring a quick human confirm for safety. Automation shines its speed and consistency, yet human judgment is essential when signals conflict, business impact is unclear, or novel techniques appear. Over time, analysts refine both the playbooks and the detection logic so the SOC spends less time on noise and more time on real threats. Threat intelligence and proactive hunting expand the SOC's vision beyond yesterday's alerts. Intelligence describes known bad artifacts, risky behaviors, and adversary methods observed across the wider community, which helps detections fire earlier and investigations start smarter. An indicator of compromise, IOC, such as a hash or domain, is useful when fresh, but it can expire quickly as adversaries rotate infrastructure. Higher value comes from recognizing techniques such as unusual access patterns, living off the land tools, or persistence in identity systems. Threat hunting uses these ideas to query data for faint signs of trouble, then feeds new insights back into rules, playbooks, and training. Healthy SOC teams measure and improve their own performance using simple, fair metrics. Mean time to detect, MTTD, tracks how long it takes a signal to become a confirmed finding, which encourages earlier visibility and better analytics. Mean time to acknowledge, MTTA, measures how quickly analysts pick up new cases, which pushes coverage and queue discipline. Mean time to respond, MTTR, focuses on containment and recovery speed once a real incident is declared, which highlights coordination and decision bottlenecks. Teams also track false positives, missed detections found later, and capacity limits, then run lessons learned reviews that update rules, playbooks, and training material. A typical day in a SOC mixes steady monitoring with bursts of focused teamwork. A phishing alert arrives, and SOAR enriches it with sender history, domain age, and user reports, while an analyst checks whether the target entered credentials, then triggers password resets and blocks similar messages. Minutes later, EDR flags suspicious processes on a laptop, so the case is escalated, the device is isolated, and a short timeline shows the initial file arrived through a removable media, which leads to a small containment sweep. Later, identity logs show an unusual login pattern, so the account is challenged with multi-factor authentication, MFA, and then temporarily disabled pending review. Each scenario follows the same rhythm of triage, investigation, and resolution with clear notes and approvals. SOC skills improve fastest when detection, investigation, and response feel like one connected craft. Analysts practice reading signals with context, forming testable ideas, and documenting why decisions were made so others can learn from the record. Engineers tune data pipelines and rules so high-value alerts rise and routine noise falls, which preserves attention for real threats. Managers keep the rhythm healthy by staffing for coverage, rotating duties, and running short drills that confirm playbooks still match reality. Over time, the SOC becomes calmer, more predictable, and more effective because the whole system learns after every case. The SOC also depends on good partnerships across the organization, so actions are both fast and safe. Asset owners help analysts understand normal behavior and planned changes, which prevents false alarms and wasted effort. Platform teams expose reliable interfaces for isolation, blocking, and configuration, so containment can happen quickly without surprises. Legal and privacy advisors guide documentation and notification choices when incidents involve regulated data, while leadership sets the pace for risk decisions. When these connections are healthy, the SOC moves with confidence because everyone knows their part during difficult moments. Training and knowledge sharing turn individual wins into team capability. After closing a tricky case, the investigator records the key artifacts, the timeline, and the final decision logic so others can repeat the approach. Detection engineers convert those lessons into new rules and enrichments, while playbook owners add safe automations that remove slow manual steps. Short internal briefings and annotated queries keep the whole team aligned on what good looks like this month, not last year. This steady loop keeps expertise fresh as tools, platforms, and attacker methods evolve. Vendors and platforms change, but durable SOC practices keep the team effective when the tool names shift. Clear definitions about what is monitored, which alerts matter, and how to escalate reduce confusion when new data sources arrive. Safe defaults in SOA keep automation helpful rather than risky, while regular reviews retire outdated steps that slow investigations. Strong case notes and evidence handling let auditors, leaders, and future teammates understand what happened and why the team chose each action. These habits make the SOC resilient during growth, reorganization, and technology refresh cycles. Over time, the SOC matures by aligning effort to the threats that matter most to the business. High-value assets receive deeper visibility and tighter detections, while lower-value areas receive lighter coverage that still catches common issues. Seasonal changes in activity, such as product launches or holidays, are reflected in watch priorities and staffing plans. Leadership receives simple summaries that connect outcomes to risk, such as fewer successful phishing enrollments, faster containment of malware, or quicker recovery from identity misuse. This clarity encourages smart investment and prevents fatigue from chasing every possible signal equally. A security operations center's strength comes from the way people, data, tools, and process reinforce one another to protect the business. The SOC watches continuously, investigates carefully, and coordinates responses that reduce harm while preserving trust and operations. With a clear mission, dependable routines, and steady learning, the SOC turns a chaotic threat landscape into manageable work. For beginners, understanding these foundations makes security operations feel approachable, useful, and connected to real decisions made every day. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.